Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, something that I do from time to time, but haven't done in a little while, and that is look at a game that is, I don't know if I'd say just announced, but kind of confirmed. You may remember I think it was July, the Ultimate General or Game Labs Twitter account posted a really cryptic message about like ship design, basically saying, when you don't know if you want to build HMS Resistible or something to that effect or another one, then you build both. And I did a quick video kind of saying, is this the next Ultimate General or Ultimate Admiral game? Because they had ended the tweet with Ultimate Admiral. Well, since then, they have announced Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, and they've also announced Ultimate Admiral Age of Sail. We've done a video talking about Age of Sail because it kind of showed what Age of Sail will include. It's kind of like a story-based Horatio Hornblower take on sort of their Ultimate General games, with naval combat being a major place in the game, but also including land combat. What we haven't talked about is Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, which they've been a little bit more cagey about. Frankly, it looks very similar to Rule the Waves 1 in what they've talked about. It looks like it'll cover like 1900 to the 1920s. It's not going to cover air combat like Rule the Waves 2 is, but it is going to be a lot sort of more graphically focused. And just the other day, they actually updated their website. Previously, the only website they had set up was for Ultimate Admiral Age of Sail, but they just updated the website to include Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. So for the first time, really officially for the first time, we're getting some interesting information. They've provided some information in the forums in the past, but they haven't really shown a lot of documentation or marketing material or any of that around like, hey, what is this game actually going to be? And now they have released it, and they've provided quite a bit. So I wanted to talk about that because I think Age of Sail is interesting, and I'm definitely sort of a Hornblower fan and a Jack Aubrey fan. But that being said, I think from a gameplay perspective, Rule the Waves was a big part of my channel for a long time, and Rule the Waves 2, which is coming out in about 2 weeks, I think it comes out the 17th of May, is going to be a game that I'm definitely going to be covering in great detail. But the idea of taking the Rule the Waves concept and making it a little bit more fleshed out, a little bit more polished, and adding some graphical components to it has a great appeal for me. And that's what it seems like Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts will be. And I think I'm more excited about Dreadnoughts than I am Age of Sail. So let's go ahead and check this out and see what they've provided to us for this game so far. So as you can see here, this is obviously artwork. It's not graphics, it's not in-game. This is very much an artistic rendition of battleships at sea, as you will, but it looks gorgeous nonetheless. This is what you're greeted with when you first get to their website, but if you actually scroll down, that's where you get more information about the game. So Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, as we suspected, is a game about designing warships, commanding fleets, and winning a naval arms race for your nation. So again, very Rule of the Waves-esque. You can see here there are 3 different main features that the game is talking about. The first is ship design, the second is realistic combat, and the third is a campaign or academy feature in the game. There appear to be 2 editions of the game that they're going to be releasing. A limited edition, which I imagine is a more expensive version that gives you access to an early closed alpha build. So a select number of players will basically be able to test this game in alpha, so it's not yet to beta, which means it's probably a ways away still. I'm hoping this is something that comes out late this year. That would be my assumption, and that's kind of the trend for Ultimate games. But I'm not sure if Admirals or Age of Sail will come first. They haven't really been totally clear on that. Dreadnought was teased first, but Age of Sail has been the one that, to this point, has provided a lot more information. What I will say is that they are being run by 2 different teams, is our understanding of this. So Ultimate Admiral Age of Sail and Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts have 2 different teams running them. They're not the same developers. My understanding, and this is based off Twitter and Discord conversations that I've had with people that follow the forums more closely. This is not anything that's been officially provided to me. I don't know. But based off some discussions I've had with people who do follow the forums, it sounds like Darth from the Total War Darth mods and who made the original Ultimate General Gettysburg and then Ultimate General Civil War, he was involved in those projects, which we covered extensively. He is involved in Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. I don't know if he's at all involved with Age of Sail, but I have heard that he's the one sort of heading up the design for Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. Again, that's hearsay, but it seems reasonable. It was the first one announced and the first one teased, and It seems to be following more of an established concept, where Age of Sail, I think, is trying a lot of different things. Whew, with that being said, that's a lot of words and not a lot of time. So why don't we first check out the features here on the website through the ship design. I'm not going to read through everything. They have a lot of documentation here. Some of it's a little bit fluffy marketing material, and it's kind of like, what do you read between the lines? What are they really saying, or are you assuming things? And some of it's pretty concrete. So let's go ahead and take a look at ship design first, and we'll kind of glance through this, and then we'll look at some other things here. So first off, you can see here, this was their first blog post. Apparently it was posted on April 26, and it talks about how designing your warships is vital in this game. It's a vital procedure before building them and sending them into combat. No matter how important and complicated this process can be, the intuitive design interface should help you easily learn the basics and start experimenting with the various potential designs and combinations for your ships. Let's see below how the most important design characteristics are that are available at the moment of this writing. So again, this game is still under development. It's not yet into sort of the final stage. Nick Tomatis is the author or the admin of this particular post. Is that Darth? I don't know. I don't actually think I know Darth's real name. But anyway, and they provide this little trailer here that you can see. It looks almost Kerbal Space Program Manager-esque, where you can kind of see like, all right, add a couple sections to the hull, make it bigger, make it smaller, add your conning tower, add your turrets. You know, maybe you want two funnels that are further apart. Maybe you want casemates, as you can kind of see those fly in here. You know, maybe you want a battleship with 3 turrets. That last 3-turreted battleship looked like a lot like a German pre-dreadnought class called the what do you call it? Was it the Brandenburg class? But in any event, this is just a really quick trailer, if you will, that they posted on YouTube, but this is also on this design post, and it kind of gives you a sense of like, all right, in the shipyard, this is probably how the design mechanic will look, or at least that's what they seem to be suggesting, and maybe not, I could be wrong. But that's kind of a cool little video to show you how, you know, you can design ships differently, add different features, whether you want like things like, what do you call it? Casemates here along the side with superimposed turrets, whether you want no casemates and maybe sort of side wing turrets. All of this stuff is going to be really cool, I think, to see in a game. Rule the Waves 2 does have, or Rule the Waves 1, sorry, does have some of this, but not nearly as sort of eye candy catching, and I think this is really kind of a cool concept. You know, I've seen a lot of people sort of suggest like, oh, this is going to be so much better than Rule the Waves 1. I have a hunch that they're going to kind of coexist pretty nicely, and they're going to fit different needs. You know, if you want to get into the nitty-gritty of all the detail of your ship design, Rule the Waves might be a little bit better, I'm assuming. If you want something more Lego-like, at least the way this video is laid out, it makes it feel like maybe Ultimate Admiral might be for you. That being said, if we actually scroll down here, it starts pretty high level, right? They tell you the different ship classifications. They have battleships, they have battle cruisers, they have heavy cruisers, light cruisers, destroyers, torpedo boats. Those are the classes of ships that are part of your Navy and that you can build up. And it gives you a little write-up of each one of those different classes. The interesting thing I don't see here is I don't see a pre-Dreadnought class. I don't know if that's just a subset of battleship and battleships evolve over time, or if that is something different. Because heavy cruisers, you could definitely say armored cruisers are heavy cruisers, right? But I think this game starts in the year 1900. I think. I could have sworn I saw that somewhere. And if that is true, you need pre-Dreadnought battleships. So maybe they're just smaller battleships. Maybe there are other classes here that they're not including. As you scroll down here, you can see, in addition to all of this information they have around just very high level, you know, what the heck is a cruiser or a battle cruiser or a battleship, they also provide information about the hulls. So these are probably going to be variables that when you design your ship, you have to keep in mind. And I don't know, again, we really don't know much. Are they sliders? Are they 0 to 100 point calculations? Like, how is all of this defined? But essentially they have resistance, which I believe is basically armor. Or no, it says after armor penetration, but it's the damage received, the ability to take damage. Hull form, which I don't know a lot about different hull forms. That's something I haven't really heard of before, but it does give you the option to kind of look at, all right, you know, are there different ways you could design your hull, perhaps to be more like flush deck or whatever, to be a little bit faster. Stability, which is, you know, obviously this was a big problem for the was it the Bornadino class Russian pre-Dreadnought battleships that were very top-heavy? So the stability metric would presumably have something to do with how sturdy these are, you know, how able are they to fire on the move, you know, how maybe this has something to do with like if there's watertight compartments below the sort of a certain part of the ship when it's heavy seas, maybe they can't fire. I'm not really sure. Stability is kind of vague. And then this brilliant word, floatability, which is basically, it's kind of like an endurance with regards to flooding. So if your ship is flooding, you know, how able is it to continue operating? Is it the Seydlitz, which I believe was a German battle cruiser, which took massive damage at the Battle of Jutland and was just barely able to kind of sneak back into, was it the Seydlitz? Or was it the 100-ton? They're one of the German battle cruisers basically was like almost awash and was able to get back to port somehow. Displacement, obviously that's the size of the ship, so there's different displacements. And it does talk a lot throughout this whole page about how features may be modified by technology. So there definitely is sort of an R&D component to the game, which I think is critical for this period of time. This definitely looks like, if not a battle cruiser or an armored cruiser, then a pre-Dreadnought battleship. There's only 2 turrets, fore and aft, so... that would suggest that maybe battleships are just rolled into, you know, maybe that's what it is. Maybe battleships are pre-dreadnoughts until you R&D enough, and then you can get super dreadnoughts or dreadnought battleships, maybe. Propulsion. So then there's different characteristics within propulsion. You've got a write-up about speed, a write-up about range, a write-up about fuel, a write-up about main engines, auxiliary engines, propeller shafts, boilers. All of this information, if it's truly modeled in the game, is actually a layer below Rule the Waves. Rule the Waves has speed, and it has range, and it has fuel. It has sort of vaguely includes engines in terms of like weight-saving technology or, you know, whether you have steam turbine technology or not. But it doesn't typically have auxiliary engines. I don't think it has anything to do with like saying how many propeller shafts you have, or even the boilers. So again, this doesn't really tell us anything about it, right? It's just advanced drive shaft substantially improved ship's maneuverability by increasing acceleration and turn rate. Engine reliability is improved also, but all this comes at additional cost and weight of the engine weight. So, like, are you actually picking out an engine that needs to go in your ship, or is this just sort of abstracted to say, like, you have technology level 5? We don't know. We'll find out. But it's kind of cool to see a write-up about all this different information. It really makes you appreciate that they seem to be doing their due diligence and, you know, making sure that they're sort of digging into the details of ships. You've got funnels, so obviously like the smokestacks, which it's interesting that it says you need at least 1 funnel for the proper operation of the ship. Rule the Waves, I definitely created ships with no funnels. The funnels don't really serve a purpose in Rule the Waves. It's cosmetic. But because Rule the Waves is sort of a top-down 2D aspect, that matters less. Towers, which is sort of like your bridge and all of that. Range finders, which I'm assuming are sort of a technology thing. It's definitely included in Rule the Waves as well. There's a gun layout, so it'll be interesting to see, like, again, how detailed can you get? Can I define exactly how many secondary guns, whether they're in casemates, whether they're in turrets, like you can in Rule the Waves, or is it sort of like a predefined list of options? I guess, again, we'll see here, but it does, you know, it does impact ship's weight distribution, firing efficiency. You know, it does look like you can put them in turrets or casemates. Casemate guns are mounted in protected positions along the sides of the deck, require less tons of mounting equipment compared to turret guns placed on the deck. Their main advantage is that, and then in these positions, they do not obstruct large main guns. Their disadvantage is firing arcs are more limited compared to turret guns, and if placed in lower decks, they may become wet and ineffective in rough seas. Extra options allow the configuration of turret, traverse, speed, and gun reload, depending on research technology. So again, is this something where, like, I get to pick more specifically, or is it all just tying back to some sort of streamlined R&D process that I really want to know, I really want to see? We haven't seen anything yet, but definitely R&D is going to be a big part of this game. And then obviously gun caliber, you know, 9 inches and up belong in the big gun category, available in large capital ships, heavy cruisers, battleships. So that mirrors sort of Rule the Waves. You can't put like a 10-inch gun on a protected cruiser or anything like that. It's got a write-up about torpedo launchers, ammunition, so that's also something that's sort of abstracted in Rule the Waves, but is there around like number of rounds that you have in your ship. Shell weight, torpedo diameter is something different, I think, and then propulsion is also different. But again, how detailed does this get, or is it just some sort of arbitrary number based on your technology? I don't know. Light, standard, heavy, or super heavy shell weight. Contributes to total weight, but greatly affects the combat effectiveness of your ship. Lighter shells can be carried in larger numbers and have higher range. So it'll be interesting, like, do I have to pick? So that's also different. I would expect more of like you want an AP or an HE shell like you do in Rule the Waves, but in here they seem to be light, standard, heavy, or super heavy. There was such a thing as a super heavy shell, but I'm curious what that all means. Ammunitions can be set to underload, standard, or overload for both guns and torpedoes. So again, you may not get to pick how many rounds of ammo you have. It may be sort of an abstracted, not full, standard, overfull. But I'm not sure. We really don't know a lot. Obviously, armor layout is important, so it gives you a big write-up about armor layout. Just seeing these triple-turreted guns, like, I love me some Rule the Waves, but seeing these triple-turreted guns on the ship that you design, it just looks, oh, man, I can't wait to see what this game turns out to be. Gives you a bunch of write-ups about underwater protection, and then it also just sort of summarizes these are some of the crucial design features when it comes to making your ship. We tried to make mention as many ship design features as possible, but we couldn't include everything in a single article. Other enhancements may become available as you get more technology. Turret reload and traverse speeds can change based on technology. The game is still under development, so features will be based on feedback and ideas. Thanks for reading. Brace yourselves for another comprehensive guide of game features coming soon. And then the visuals are a work in progress, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, so I mean, you can see, I know I spent like 15 minutes going through this one document and didn't even read it all. I would highly recommend you check the website out and read through this yourself and see what you make of it. I'm excited by this, but I also, temper expectations because it's kind of a write-up, but it doesn't show a lot, so we don't really know what it's going to look like. If we go to realistic combat, they have another article about that as I wait for my lovely internet to pull this up. Makes for great YouTube viewing. So they have a battle system here. You can see there's some images of these ships. This looks a little bit Red Dragon-y to me. I hope it's not Wargame Red Dragon in terms of combat. These two ships look super close together. But it could just be, hopefully, because they want to show like two ships in the same shot. I'm not sure. But if we go to battles here, you can see there's visibility that can be realistic based on battle conditions. You can organize your fleet. It looks like the opposing fleets are automatically divided into divisions, with each division consisting of ships of the same type. So that's very Rule the Waves-esque. The strongest ship in each fleet becomes the flagship. Okay, again, very Rule the Waves-esque. Attach and detach from divisions and give command to the AI fully or partially select divisions. I don't know about the partially selected divisions, but again, very Rule the Waves-esque. Drag and drop commands allow for easy creation of line ahead or abreast. This could make this a game changer. Like, if the actual battle controls are intuitive and simple and also allow you a great degree of flexibility, this could be a game changer for this kind of a game. I think one of my frustrations with the Rule of Waves was always sort of the giving orders to ships. Like, you're kind of giving it from your flagship, and you can give orders to certain things, but like, you're really limited in some of your commands. And if you can really like dive into, hey, I want you to lay a smoke screen, or I want you to form a line ahead or line abreast, like really effectively and easy, I think that could really make the battles in this very satisfying. I like the over-the-top view here. You can see your ships in formation here at a greater altitude. Visibility, they're saying. Weather effects are going to be modeled. I don't know what what does the asterisk mean? If I scroll down, does it tell me? Features under development at the moment of writing. So maybe the asterisks mean they're not really sure how everything will play out, but they at least appear to be looking into how do we do realistic visibility, how do we have realistic weather effects, realistic ammo. So ships have limited ammo that contributes to the total tonnage of the ship, placing realistic constraints on ship design and tactics in battle. Okay, so that may involve whether you want to open fire at long range, whether you want to wait till you're closer. To avoid excessive micromanagement, ships by default will conserve ammunition until chances of hitting are reasonable. You can override this default mode to be more aggressive and fire at any range. Ballistics and targeting. Okay. May decentralize their fire, target multiple enemies if they have multiple and secondary gun batteries. That's kind of cool. Realistic penetration mechanics. And I'm not going to read through all of this. Oh, there is an AP shell thing. So I mentioned like whether they'd have AP shells or not. So at least they seem to model that. Different types of penetration, semi-penetration, over-penetration. Crew importance. Crew is another factor that must be considered for your ships, especially in a campaign play where you'll have to keep your fleet frequently trained in order to fight effectively. A well-trained crew may compensate for lack of advanced technologies. Okay. And then radio communications are a thing. Radar apparently will end up being a thing. I thought this ends in like 1922. Wouldn't radar not come into play? And and then a general write-up about AI. So a lot of this stuff is still in development in the battle system, you can see. But, you know, they're definitely putting a lot of thought into, all right, you're going to give real-time commands in your battles. You're also going to be designing your warships. And then there's multiple different playing modes as well, which I'll show off here as well before we wrap this up. You can see the play mode here includes a Naval Academy, which is like a quick battle mode where you can just create like specific battle scenarios versus an AI opponent. Like maybe you can, I don't know, does that mean you can fight like the Battle of Jutland, or is it just like a random battle generator? Huh. Oh, you can design your ships, and then, oh, so this is kind of cool. Like, if you don't want to do a full-blown campaign, it looks like you can select a mission. You have an option to boost your ship design, such as, like, technology upgrade combos, etc. But then you can actually build your ships, and then once you build your ships, you can deploy them to battle. So basically, this lets you, like, try out different ship design concepts really quickly. At least that's the way I'm reading this. Where, like, if you go to the Naval Academy, it's just like, all right, I want to pick the type of battle I'm fighting, I want to design my ships, and then I want to see what happens. And it doesn't require you to do the full-blown campaign. That's kind of neat. The core of this game, I think, will be the campaign game, which involves a... Oh, okay, so here's the interwar period. So you play from 1890 to 1930. How are they not going to have aircraft carriers if it... 1930 is definitely when aircraft carriers come in. I guess it's sort of early enough that you can probably ignore them. I wonder how they address that, because there's no sign of aircraft carriers in the game. But it does appear to start earlier than Rule the Waves. It's going to start in 1890, so definitely going to have to include pre-Dreadnought battleships. And it's going to go till 1930. It's going to include the British Empire, German, French, United States, Russian Empire, Austria-Hungary, Italy, Japan, Spain is included. That's kind of cool. And if you think about it, 1890 is before Spain loses the war to the United States. So maybe you want to play a stronger Spain that survives the War of 1898. And then also you can play as China, which is interesting. So these are all the different playable countries, a lot more than I kind of expected for the time period. It's apparently going to be taking place over the globe, and it's going to be arms races, and you can earn things like political points, and events can occur, rebellions, very Rule of the Waves-esque. If you were to describe the Rule of the Waves 1 game, with a few exceptions, this like write-up here would probably describe it. Right, like you're the head of the Admiralty, so you don't have direct control over your national government, but you can influence the course of actions, again, just like with the pop-ups and Rule the Waves. You are the chief admiral of your nation, gives you complete control over naval construction programs and policies. You need to manage the naval budget, allocate it wisely between technological research, crew training, shipyard development, and shipbuilding. Move your fleets across the map and decide which sea regions to reinforce. Global tensions may rise, causing wars that'll involve your country, so you need to make sure your fleet is always ready for combat and is at maximum efficiency. I wonder if you can like mothball ships and stuff. It doesn't really address that, but that is a feature that I like, where you can kind of put some ships into reserve. It says fighting battles in the campaign. The global map is divided into sea regions on where you deploy your ships. Depending on the provinces you control on these waters, you have to keep your naval strength at a minimum safety level, or else economic efficiency will deteriorate. So this is sort of the putting ships on foreign stations and Rule the Waves. You obviously, if you have a global empire, you need to make sure you're protecting your commerce on a global scale. The balancing on that's going to be really important, because countries like Germany, for example, don't need to have huge fleets overseas. They need to have something to prevent rebellions and unruly colonies, but they don't need to have a ton. So I think getting this right is going to be key. During wartime, your fleet will engage enemy forces that are stationed in the same sea region via the battle generator system. This system generates missions by evaluating several strategic factors affected by fleet composition, ship operational range, and naval techs. In these generated missions, which vary from small convoy raids to major fleet actions, you can take part and directly control your ships against the enemy. Winning these naval battles is crucial not only for the war effort, but also for your career. If you're defeated many times, your naval prestige may fall so low that will cause your dismissal by the government. So this is, again, this feels like someone wrote a description for Rule the Waves, but in a good way. I like the idea of the sea sections. I like the idea of, based on where your ships are located, that will define who fights in what battles. So I think that was an area of weakness in Rule the Waves, where it was kind of like always random, with the exception of your ships on foreign stations that would end up in like raider battles or whatever. The game, I hope they get more granular than Rule the Waves did. Like, the problem with Rule the Waves was, if I have a fleet and it's in the Eastern Atlantic, I might have a fleet battle, I might never have a fleet battle, and I had no real control over what was occurring, what type of battles are occurring here. So this doesn't give me a lot of information. It could be the exact same thing as what Rule the Waves had, where it's completely random and you have no control over who's fighting or what. or it could be much more detailed. It will go a long way if the sea regions are smaller, so that you don't have an entire coastline as one sea region. So then you could at least theoretically say, like, I'm going to, move my main fleet into this region, and that'll tell us whether there's, a major fleet action or not, or whatnot. I'm not really sure. When I first read this, I got really excited. Now that I'm reading this again, I'm not totally sure whether this is going to be enough or whether this is going to be kind of one of those scenarios like Rule the Waves again. Submarines appear to be kind of the same deal as in Rule the Waves. Like, you control subs by deploying them and choosing the rules of engagement. So that's, again, Rule the Waves. But then their efforts are sort of calculated abstractly every turn. So again, that almost is very much like Rule the Waves. Neutral nations may be drawn into the war if you sink too many of them. Mine warfare is cool, so that's not something I don't think that Rule the Waves had. Mines will be automatically generated near your shores. Ships that operate near heavy minefields may be struck by mines, so that is all in Rule the Waves. Minesweeping will be basic countermeasures, so there are minesweeping operations, I guess. Actually, no, this doesn't. Minefields at the end of a war will see minefields only slowly cleaned out, still capable of causing damage to ships on any side, raising the tensions between countries. Now that's cool. That sounds pretty cool if, like, mines linger after a war. The only question is, like, it doesn't. I don't see if there's any options for you to generate minefields, or if they're just automatically developed. It would be cool if you could do missions to, like, lay minefields, but it doesn't look like that's there. And then there's sort of a wars and treaties thing, diplomacy. You might get like a Washington naval treaty that can limit naval construction, etc. So the campaign sounds very much like Rule the Waves. There's a few things that are a little bit different. The time frame's a little bit different. The number of nations is a little bit different. Potentially the way that the battle map and the map in general works may be a little bit different. And that's what I'm hoping, but I'm not really sure. I kind of thought so originally when I looked through this, and now I'm not as sure. But anyway, that's a quick look through. Obviously, I'll throw the link in the description so you guys can read this and check this out yourself. But I do think this is a really intriguing concept, and I hope it really mainstreams sort of ship design and naval arms race games like Rule the Waves, because that's something that I participated in some forums when I was younger in like high school and college or whatnot. And there's one I'm currently in right now. Actually, this is the same forum I've been in for like 15 years or so, and they're doing a new playthrough of Europe at the moment, with sort of an alternate history based off of some of the prior games. They do like a tactical American Civil War game. They do like a Scotland sort of a clan, backstabbing type game. And right now they're doing a Europe game, which is taking place in I think it's 1900 or something like that. And basically it's the power struggle, the great game between all the different nations as they, struggle for preeminence. So I'm playing currently as sort of a second player because I don't have a ton of time on the Ottoman Empire. And, one of the players at the head of the Ottoman Empire, for example, sent soldiers into Sofia to put down a Bulgarian sort of rally, and now that's resulting in a grand conference between all the nations to decide what to do. And the game includes things like raising troops, building ships, maintaining your empire, expanding your empire, and playing against other players. It's all admin focused, so the administrators sort of look at the orders and they interpret the orders and they make decisions. There's no calculations. It's not hard-coded how things happen. So I've been playing on this website for years, like 10, 15 years, longer than that actually, almost like 20. And it's an enjoyable little game, but I've been playing this for so long, and then you see games like Rule the Waves come out, or you see games like Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts come out, and they're basically saying, all right, instead of having to worry about an administrator, instead of having to worry about, getting 20 to 30 people together to play this game, you can do this all in a computer game, and you can role play as a fleet admiral, and you can design the ships of your dreams, and this has always been really exciting to me, and I really enjoy these types of games. So I did just want to kind of share this because Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts is really confirmed now. It's not just Twitter rumors, it's not just forum posts. You can see very clearly they have a design, they have a vision, and they're working to move this thing forward. And based on previous experiences with Ultimate General Gettysburg and Civil War, I'm really excited. I think Game Labs, the Ultimate series at Game Labs has done really well. Naval Action, I know some people are frustrated at some of the directions that went, but this is definitely something I'm really excited about, and I wanted to share. So obviously, you guys check the link out. I'll throw a link to the forum game as well if you want to kind of go there and learn more. Also, but check the Ultimate Admiral website out. Read through those articles in detail. Let me know what you think. Is this, do I have a fair interpretation of what they're going to do? Are you excited by this? Are you dismayed by this? Are you ambivalent? What are your thoughts? And then that being said, I can't wait because in 2 weeks, Rule the Waves 2 will come out. So who knows when Ultimate Admiral will come out, but we'll have Rule the Waves 2 to carry us over for quite some time. And it's kind of exciting to see the duality of approaches, right? The sort of more typical Grognardian sort of spreadsheet type formula that Rule the Waves brings with a lot of detail, a lot of micromanaging. And a lot of detail, and then Ultimate Admiral, which certainly seems to have a lot of detail behind it, but presumably will make things a little bit more smoother, a little bit prettier of an interface. It's a bigger studio with more resources. But does them developing that game bring in a whole new slew of gamers to this type of a game, and maybe some other people give Rule the Waves a shot? We'll see. Anyway, that's enough of me rambling now. We've been going for about 30 minutes. Just wanted to bring this up, let you guys know, that this website's out there, and give you guys a chance to check it out. I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and I hope you guys are having a great weekend. Until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.